What's going on, YouTubers? Game 3 between EmpireKas, who is now green, and our yellow Zerg, imbaLoweLy. We've seen each one of them take a game. The first game went to imbaLoweLy with a Ling Bling Muta mix that really kind of decimated EmpireKas's Marine Marauder army, mainly Marine army. And the second game was on Shakuras Plateau, where EmpireKas macroed like a Zerg, more or less, and just completely ran imbaLoweLy dry on minerals and gas, where he just wasn't able to produce any more Ultralisks or Broodlords and just ran him over with a heavy Marine Marauder army with siege tanks mixed in. Again, EmpireKas's favorite thing to do I've seen is just a heavy infantry build, and it's worked from the second game, not so much the first game. So let's see what happens during the third game. I'm very excited to see this. We are on Shakuras Plateau, and this is the MLG or the GSL version, so they are forced cross positions here. So another great map for a macro game, which is my favorite game, as I've said so many times. And last game we did see EmpireKas do one Rex Expo, and both games we've seen imbaLoweLy go a two-game. I'm sorry, a hatch first, a two-game. What the hell was I trying to say? A hatch first build. Iced tea. After this, I'm going to be casting, guys, another episode of Mathis versus the Ladder, so feel free to check that out and comment. It is definitely a pretty cool game I'm going to be putting up there. I'm actually really excited to rewatch it. I've already watched it a couple times after, just to see exactly what I did and whatnot, so I definitely suggest checking that out. Mathis versus the Ladder, my climb through the ranks of terribleness. Looks like he's going to be doing his 1 rack's usual build wall in here. He is not going to be building down here like with another 3 racks wall, or at least not right away. He's just going to go straight for this 1 racks first, and he is going to be doing a hatch first to imbaLoweLy over here, just like he has been for the past 2 games. So why change it up? It worked one game, and it honestly worked the second game too. As the game went on for like freaking 30 minutes or so. Sadly, that will be split up. I'm still waiting for my privilege to post over 15 minutes. I've had this account up for almost a month at this point, and I'm waiting for that freaking thing to be posted over 15-minute videos, since splitting up my videos is not the most exciting thing to do. It looks like he will be doing a 1 racks expansion again after his 1 racks orbital, so that is going to be going another macro style of play again, as it did work for him last game. He's going to be shooting at this drone, hopefully not letting it go by. No, he does not get by this Marine at all. He is going to get away with his life, though, which is key, but he is not going to know right away that this expansion is going down, so he's kind of going to be working in the blind. Seeing that Marine up, he's just going to know that, hey, there's a barracks down. Surprise, like always. And his Overlord is scooting on out of here. But that SCV will easily scoot in there and take a look at what's going on with imbaLoweLy, because really you can't do much as a Zerg early game unless you freaking like 10 pool. You can just kind of let them scout around for a little bit. But then again, that just means you're just going to see what you always see, so no big surprise for EmpireKas when he scoots in here. He will see a very early hatchery, which honestly he's set up for that already with an early expansion, already even up on the expansions. So scooting in here, let's see what he sees. Let's see his path. Let's see what this SCV was tasked with doing. He is going to see 2 very early gases. So imbaLoweLy grabbing 2 really early gases. Expect to see very early speedlings and perhaps some sort of early roach build. Perhaps he'll rush for layer tech. We'll have to see that. He hasn't done this in the first 2 games, so I really like to see what kind of interesting things will come of that. Both queens are about to pop. There they are. They do pop. He has a barracks set up right here for early defense for the Zergling run-bys. Don't want that to happen and really wreak havoc, though really he did see both those gas, so I assume he's prepping for that. Some sort of quick early speedlings, but he's going to maybe they just wanted to check out the insides, check out what the new home was like, and then they went out, and now they're going to go party. 2 are going to this club, 2 are going to the Northern Club, and we all know the Northern Club is way better anyway. And he's going to kill off a couple of those. There we go. So they're going to quickly grab that Xel'Naga Watchtower as he loses a few units there. So he's grabbing both Xel'Naga Watchtowers. Again, the north one is most definitely the cooler one. While he, and by he I mean imbaLoweLy, is going to patrol around this one. So interesting command there to have him patrol up. We have a spine crawler down early defenses. He does know those Marines are up, but he's still kind of working in the dark, I believe. So let's take a peek. Yeah, he has no idea what EmpireKas is up to. He just knows there are Marines on the field. So dropping this is smart, especially when you're working a little blind here. And he did rush for that layer tech, so he went straight for layer. We'll probably see some early mutas, I assume, or hydras, but I doubt we'll see hydras, as they're not the most effective against Terran whatsoever. So My assumption is we'll see some early Hydras as he banks all, like, not Hydras, I just said he's not going Hydras. Early Mutas, as he is rushing for that layer tech really, really quickly, but not grabbing these gases down here, and he is pumping a bunch of drones. If we just take a look at the unit count, 36 to 29, so he is ahead in the drone count right now. Down here we do have another barracks dropping, 2 more barracks dropping, with a starport and an extra command center. We do have a factory moving out of the way, while this tech lab is probably going to be used for that starport. That is my assumption, and I could be assuming incorrectly, but I highly doubt it because I am just that amazing. So we'll have to find out. Is he going to lift this off? Yes, he is. Bam. So maybe another Banshee will be popping out like we saw last game. We'll have to see what he decides to build. Yep, there's the Banshee going down, but he is not going to be grabbing Cloak, it looks like, as I do think he grabbed that gas a little on the late side. And I do like this creep is building over here. He is going to be grabbing, this is the third base, though it only has 1 gas right here, it is so much easier to defend, as I said a bajillion times every time I cast this map, so much easier to defend than this one right here. Though those short air distances, the hike is so long for ground that it's just freaking impossible to defend sometimes, especially if they catch you by a drop-off surprise. He's going to be swinging a Zergling in here, but he will not get to see anything other than a bunker. Sad day for imbaLoweLy, but he is going to be able to grab these right here. So he does have control of all of Xel'Naga watchtowers, except for the bottom one, which really isn't a big deal, since he does have this huge loop vision. He will see anything coming prior to it happening at all, and I like it that he has a Zergling down here to delay that expansion when he decides to go for it for as long as possible. And oh, by the way, I am working on an overlay. It is going to be up hopefully by the next series I cast, as I do have about 51 subscribers, and hopefully I'll have more after this one, so we'll see what happens. He's going to swing around here and wipe off these Marines and take the Xel'Naga watchtower, so he'll have all 4. And leave 1 there, and there's the Banshee. He's going to know the Banshees are up and running, and he's going to respond by probably just popping out Muta, since his Spire is on the way, and he does have the Queens to protect, really, so he shouldn't be worrying too much, and he is saving up all those larvae, and here come the Mutas, using all the gas that he has, that he had saved up for those Mutas, and now you see his money just drop pretty evenly, except for the minerals, since they do rise, but when he did build all those they are quite useful, and he's going to have a Baneling's Nest dropping next to an Evo Chamber. He's Evo Chamber used for ups, and he's probably going to grab a Spore Crawler or 2. He's going to swing in here and now hopefully get a good scout on now that he has a bunch of Marines, since he hasn't really seen anything all game, and yes, he's going to scoot by very nicely, and he's going to see everything he needs to see while trying to pick off a tank, though he will scoot out, and now these Zerglings have easily paid for themselves, playing blind all game. Now he knows exactly what's going on and can quickly respond to whatever he needs to do, and now he'll be feeling good about it as well. So let's see how he responds to what he sees. He's going to be leveling up level 1 flyer attacks. And that Baneling's Nest is going to be dropping, so Ling Bling Muta looks like again, which worked really well from the first game, and the second game he really didn't do that. He had Mutalisk a little bit and a few Zerglings, but he quickly transitioned to some higher form of tech like Ultras and Brood Lords, and now these Mutalisks are going to be used now that he knows that the air defense is primarily only Marines, so he's going to be swinging around, doing some poking in and out with some harassment to make sure EmpireKas feels like he needs to stay in his base, as Mutas are primarily used for such devious mind games. And here we go, he's going to be swinging in, and he's going to be doing what he can, quickly attempting to evade all of those missile turrets, but here come a bunch of Marines, so he's going to only be able to poke around a little bit and do a little bit of harassment, just forcing the Marines back in the base and scooting out of there with their lives, luckily. Only 1 really hurt, but if he decides to swing by those bunkers, he may indeed lose those, so they are just going to kind of swing around here. Let's see if he continues the harassment. He's going to try and stop that turret build, and he is able to stop it, but not before these Marines are able to force these Mutas back before they can destroy the turret completely. So we'll probably grab an SCV and start building that again like it is, since turrets are so useful, and though Mutas are expensive, they are extraordinarily fragile. So he's going to try to swing in there, but really realizing that it's probably a bad idea, that that turret is probably being rebuilt, if not already finished, and just uses to poke in and out again at the base, and really just trying to keep EmpireKas, I think, contained while he continues to expand behind this aggression. And there's the fourth base being grabbed. I'm sorry, yep, fourth base being grabbed, and yep, he's going to be scooching on down here, which is not too bad since the creep is already out here, and apparently having some sort of graphic problem with this doohickey here. Wow, that's really messed up looking. So we're gonna, did that fix it? Did that fix it? No, okay. So now he's going to be grabbing this one down here for his 5th base, double expanding behind the aggression and behind the mind games of those Mutas. And he's going to be looking to pick off this turret now, it looks like, moving in here, not really worried about losing any Mutas. And yes, he is. Now he's going to do some harassment on the SCV line, which is smart. Poking in, trying to kill off. Is he going to finish off any others? No, causing some more damage. Losing a Muta in that aggression. Poking back in here, and he's going to go for those Marines and try to stop the production of this, but no. He's just going to gun for the Marines while that turret is being built, killing off as many Marines as he can, while this conga line of Marines decides to rejoin the fight, and he loses another Muta while he does such, moving on out. And man, these pillars really just don't like my computer right now. But he does have this one up and running and is already pretty saturated with that transfer of drones, grabbing those gases as he knows he needs them, and they're precious, especially since this base only had one gas. So grabbing that and moving these mutas out, this conga line of Marines is going to continue to follow these guys and force them out. EmpireKas feeling confident enough to move out of here, but the creep is so far up to the center. Once he gets here, he's going to realize that these Zerglings, and perhaps Banelings, if he decides to morph some of them into them, don't be surprised to see some of these guys morphed at some point. Especially with all those Marines out, Banelings would be amazing in this fight if he decides to go for it in the middle of the map. But it looks like he's going to be swinging around and attempting to attack over here, clearing out the Zelnaga Watchtower. He's going to be approaching here. Looks like he's clicking on this way, so he's going to be trying to attack this natural. But I like the positioning of the Spine Crawler here on the high ground, allowing him to not really get far without having to kill this first, and giving him time to quickly retreat those drones if he needs to, since the Spine Crawler will just give him the precious few seconds he needs to clear out before those siege tanks are able to do much damage if he decides to attack by the edge. But he is going to be scooching up here first to check for that expansion. And like I said, if he did have this expansion, with the way his creep is spread, he wouldn't really be able to defend this. But he is going to try and try to push with these guys, but quickly grabbing a bunch of those Marines and stimming them to ward off those mutas, pushing them back towards the base. And here we go, Zerglings, Banelings rolling on in like a bowling ball. They do have the centrifugal hook upgrade. 34 more Zerglings on the way. We do have an armory on the way for EmpireKas, so Thor response to these heavy mutas, which is smart, but if he continues to produce mainly Zerglings, those Thors are going to be rendered quickly ineffective as they are surrounded by the Zerglings. And here we go, he's going to be moving on up to this here, and he's sieged up here, so he's going to be able to drop. It looks like he is dropped already over here. Those Zerglings are going to be able to get wiped out really quickly. They may be able to clear out some of these Marines if they don't get picked out, but not before they are lost as well. But these mutas are going to come over here and quickly wipe that out. Those Banelings finished up all those other Marines, and now these siege tanks are more or less lost. They will not be able to get away fast enough. These mutas having a heyday with the rest of these siege tanks. That is a rough loss for EmpireKas, as this was actually a pretty smart move, but it was seen and countered by imbaLoweLy really, really well. So he's not been able to do any significant damage. Look at the worker count. imbaLoweLy has killed 9-0 of EmpireKas. So EmpireKas has killed 85 units. But they're primarily just Zerglings, so really easily replaced. And if we take a look at the unit count, he has a ton. Well, is that 84 or 64? Oh, I can't tell sometimes the way my screen represents font, but I'm pretty sure it's 64 there. It looks like they may be even, in fact, then by that. But he's moving on the middle. I just heard a bunch of Banelings pop, and he is moving on over here. Is he going to get this expansion down before imbaLoweLy comes and saves it? It looks like he is going to lose this expansion. Yes, he is going to lose that expansion. And, yeah, imbaLoweLy just abandoning it mostly. And there we go. I was like, I was just going to leave it. Abandoning it, knowing it's a lost cause, really wasn't used for anything. There was no saturation whatsoever, primarily just the extra few larvae that I was able to produce. But he does have him boxed in here, and all these Marines are just food for these Banelings waiting to be finished off. They are kind of contained in his old expansion, and more Zerglings joining the fray, moving up to meet up with their other Zergling comrades and join the army and serve undyingly to our Lord and Mistress Kerrigan. Now he's going to be going for this other one that is saturated, so imbaLoweLy needs to move his units over here to stop this.